I know it's been a while since I last uploaded a video, but I have been using the time wisely and really putting a lot of time and effort into this warehouse. So not really much time for editing, but I have been filming every step as I've been going along. I mean, I had so many projects. I wanted to do the lights under the mezzanine level, build a ramp to get the bikes up to the top. Then there was the 2 crates which I wanted to set up. There were so many more bikes to bring in. I wanted to build a storeroom so I can clear the floor at the bottom. So many projects, and I used the time wisely. I'm really done some good work and happy with the progress. So having the time now to do some editing and putting it together, I'm going to share with you the progress and where we are at now with this Route 21 museum. So let's jump right into it and let me take you for a tour where we are at now. One of the first projects I decided to tackle was to build the storeroom. Reason for that was, you can see in the center of the floor all the stuff that I was clearing out of the storages, as well as the leftover building materials like spare tiles, spare epoxy and paint. I wanted to pack away and get some law and order and some structure into that warehouse. You can see I used the full-size sheets of the superwood to minimize joints and all of that. The walls had to be chased and chiseled because in that old warehouse the walls weren't straight, and if you want to put up frames and that, I wanted to be as precise as possible. Also, the whole idea was that when the storeroom is finished, it should look like it was part of the original building, and that's why I used the same doors, same patterns, same handles, and even the same color scheme. And you can see framing it up the door, getting everything in shape. I wanted to minimize joints, so that whole thing was built with 3 boards only. And here you can see only 1 joint on that side, and the other side you can see it's the same door. I still have to finish the little things like locks and lights, and that's all to come as we go along. My storeroom is now complete, and as you can see, the color matches and blends with the building, even the door frame and handles, everything. So we have synergy and it all looks the same. For now, I don't have any lighting here yet, but that's the same if we look back under the mezzanine. I don't have lighting yet. So I've just got these construction lights. My racking is in. The bottom shelf is all the spare building materials, spare tiles, spare epoxy coating and all the paints. So should I do any touch-ups or repair work, it is all in here. The other 4 shelves is for storage, for pillion seats, and if I do custom work, the chroming and paint work to put here. A cupboard, I've got spare scaffolding to go higher on the towers, spare boards and step ladders. So for now, no lighting, just the construction lights. But as you can see, I think it blends quite nicely with the colors for the whole building, and it forms part of the building. So I'm quite happy with that. But what I'm going to do next is these boards, and I'm going to explain why. You see the bikes are starting to move in and they're really taking over. I've hardly got any space to work or move, and I haven't even started hanging anything yet. So in a previous episode I showed you that I built the winch in on the wall, and let me explain how this works. So this first section of staircase is 2.8 meters and the second section is 2.5 meters. I couldn't get any bike ramps that are long enough for that, so I prepared some shutter boards over here. They reinforced so they're pretty strong, and there's a 2.5 board and a 2.8 in front. Now the bottom of that board I've covered in felt so it doesn't scratch the stairs, and on top I've done this rough rubberizing so you get good traction when going up. Now to hook it in, if I turn it over this way, you will see these are M10 bolts with a rubber sleeve. Now how this all works is, as you can see, just finished it, and here you can see the 2.8 section goes in here. Now the two M10 bolts with a rubber sleeve hook into those two holes. You hardly notice it when going up. 2.5 meter section over here, and that hooks in over those two holes here. And there you have your winch working off a 12 volt here, lithium battery with an indicator on charge, and your remote controller. So as you're walking the bike up, you can control how fast it goes up, and should any snag happen, you can stop it immediately. So that is mounted rigidly to the wall, and here it is quite steep, but fingers crossed. I think let's start with the first bike and bring her up. So as you can see, it's a very quick assembly process. Now I've got the ramps straight up to the winch. The hook of the winch is dead center. It's 1.1 between here, and the ramps are straight. So if you look, cruising up, good traction, quite steep, but I think it should work perfectly. Here she's up my Benelli Tornado Novecento Tre, the limited edition, one of my prized possessions, and I think looks really cool up here. It's wicked. Here are my 4 Benellis for now. That scooter we brought up trying to use the standard bike ramps, but they're far too short, so I had to stop and move. It worked okay because it's much lighter, but here this I have now managed to do with the whole ramp system and the winch. So I'm very happy it all works. A couple of snags here or there which I'll iron out as I go along, but she's up in position, and I think that's cool. This gap, in case you're wondering, is for the Benelli 900 Say, the 6-cylinder that I've got in the collection. So what I decided to do is put all my Benellis up here. We've got the Dynamo, the little monkey bike, the Benelli lithium motorcycle, bicicletta. We have the Benelli scooter, the Say is coming in here. Here's the Tornado Tre, the limited edition 900. I've still, together with the 6-cylinder, the 900 6-cylinder, I've got the 500 4-cylinder, and I've got a Leoncino. And I'm hoping to get one more Benelli here, but that for now is a bit of a secret. This is going to be the crated Moto Guzzi Centenario, brand new, uncrated. I'm just going to actually space it on the sides, put it up, and put some halo lights down at it. And here's the lounge. So as you can see, the bikes are filling up, and I need to get some order over here. The project bikes move one side and all the other bikes. Then there's a whole bunch of stuff over here that I need to sort into the storeroom now, but it's starting to take shape. Back down at the bottom, as you can see, the sea of motorcycles. I need to clean up and get a little bit of order and structure into it. But what I wanted to show you, I think it's a great success. I wanted that railing not to be too obstructive that you can't see what's up on top. And I think the design with the steel cables works out really great, because from here you can clearly see what bikes are up on top. You can see the colors, the shapes, you can identify the bikes, and the cables actually disappear into the background. So with the space I have on top, I do think I get about 10 to 15 motorcycles up there, depending how I squeeze them up and position them, and that'll free up a lot of space down at the bottom. And the next move would be to start getting the things up the pylon and these signs up on the wall and just get some order back here. As you can see, some really nice gems have started moving in. Here's the other Centenario Guzzi. The other one will be in the box up there, uncrated. Some project bikes visible here, but very exciting. The next project I decided to tackle was this 1960s illuminated Caltex pylon. You can see the illumination old. I had to remove the fluorescent tubes, replace it with LED tubes, and here you can see the fiberglass face illuminated lying on the trestles. Next thing, I had to make a pole. This pylon did not have a pole. I couldn't find the original one. After remanufacturing it, I assembled it with a mate using the mezzanine level. Not the pylon's final destination, but testing it, illumination looks pretty stunning. Now, I have a plan. I had an eye on a 1970s BP pylon that was still standing in Pretoria. After having struck a deal with the owners, I arranged a crane truck to uplift that and bring it back to the warehouse. Now, these old pylons, this from the 70s, that base plate alone is 20 millimeters in thickness. You're not just going to muscle that off or lift it with a block and tackle. A crane truck is needed. So the idea was to lift it with a crane truck, put it on the truck, bring it back to the warehouse, and maybe with this crane truck also reposition the Caltex pylon. Here you can see loosening the bolts of the original bolt cage and then picking it up, lying it down without damaging it. Seriously heavy steel, and then everything fiberglass. This is a non-illuminated pylon that is really stunning in original shape. Very, very little damage. It just needed a polish and a cleanup. Now, reversing into the warehouse was a skill by itself. All these little catches we don't think of. That crane truck hardly fitted in. We're talking about millimeters. You can see the height of that, and that back boom you cannot alter. But we managed to get in with millimeters to spare, positioned it, and another catch was that the Mustang was not running at the time. So you can see Mustang was in place. I couldn't move it. It was just, we had to work around everything as it was. But these guys were super helpful. After lifting the pylon off the truck, we put it in the position where I originally wanted to erect it, and that is in that corner of that mezzanine level. However, you can see with the crane not quite getting to that point, and after careful consideration, it wasn't the right place to put it because it would have cast a massive shadow with the LED light just above it. So we repositioned it over here on that corner because it would be in the middle of the two LED lights above. Having placed that BP pylon, we then picked up the Caltex pylon by the neck and carefully maneuvered it around where I originally intended having it. Now, the big problem was that Mustang, I unfortunately could not drive out that morning. It was stuck, so we just had to work around it. Now, as we're getting it into its final position, the Caltex pylon, the last thing I just had to do was drill and anchor it with chemical anchors. And I did the very same thing before we detached the crane from the BP pylon. I quickly drilled holes, chemical anchors, bolted it down, and also secured it against the mezzanine level just to hold it in place. With the two pylons in place, the next job was to clean them up and touch them up a little bit. Here, the base of the BP pylon all rusted up. Cleaning it up with a needle descaler, cleaned it up as if it was shot blast, some primer and some paint. I repainted the entire pole top to bottom, polished the fiberglass sheets so the pylon really popped. Next came the Caltex pylon, some primer on the steel, some galvanized primer on the galvanizing, and with that I also had a Caltex pump, a Tockheim pump, which needed restoration to go with that pylon. Here you can see repainted, sanded everything, new decals, and here you can see the final product. I hope you enjoyed this update with me of my little Route 21 museum. Really cool projects going on. I've got more in the pipeline, and I have got more that I have already done and filmed. So in the next week I'll upload the next one where I've done, for example, the 2 crates, the Aprilia, the Moto Guzzi with the illumination, some really old signage from Ducati Edenvale that sadly closed here in South Africa. So stunning projects. Please remember, as always, guys, hit that like button, give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this episode. Most important of all, please, guys, hit that subscribe button to help me build the channel. And if you like, the reminder bell so you always know when I upload the next episode.